The following episode is brought to you by Poison City Brewing, proud makers of Durban Poison Cannabis Lager, the beer that invites you to live your poison.
So guys, how have you been throughout this glorious lockdown time? How's it been treating you guys?
Like I think different for everyone, obviously. I'm super happy, only child. I'm super happy being alone and stuff like that. So I think I've weathered it a bit better than most people. And like I was having some problems at work, not problems, but work was rough for unrelated reasons. And then that kind of gave me time to clear my head. And then also that was the kick up the arse I needed to get our album out, last year. And yeah, since then been great. Lots of music. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm lazy. I've been watching anime.
Even me, bro. Even me. Like
I play bass and watch anime. That's what I do. And cook, make myself fat. That's all I can do.
Like lockdown was weird for me. Like I enjoyed it because like it was nice kind of like having a break from what I do for a living, which was the whole chef thing. And then after that, it was just a whole lot of like unknown kind of what's going to happen with the industry, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, it was actually like nice to spend time with, like my band and my family and my fiance and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, Rita has recently proposed. So, yeah.
Yeah, as of December. Off the market, ladies.
Yeah, it's big steps in a lot of directions, like a lot of unknowns. Good God. Okay, wait. I thought I lost you guys there for a second because Damien just stuck. You literally paused perfectly. I was like, okay, did I lose everyone?
No, I
just stopped.
Oh wait.
I was like, Damien is kind of like he's kind of like a stone golem. He can lift immensely heavy weights with all those like valve amps that he carries around, but then he can be like stock still. Like you're like, oh hell, did the video freeze? Where?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought had happened.
When we still could go into the office, I'd go to the kitchen or something like that, and people would turn around and be like, "Oh," they're like, "Where'd you come from?" I'm like, dude, I just walked here, and so apparently I walk quietly as well,
like a ninja.
I've experienced it.
I'm a shadow.
I'm a pretty big dude. I'm like 6'3", and sure. I've apparently been told I'm sneaky. Like someone will turn around and I'm there, and
you kind of like loom.
Yeah, basically, you feel this presence apparently.
Yeah. And yeah, it's not about being big or small or whatever. It's just I think a lot of people just stomp around like bloody cattle. I don't know. I think my dad didn't like it when I slammed doors and stuff as a kid. It wasn't super strict, but just that was his pet peeve. So I think I kind of learned to behave myself. And now I play these fucking valve amps. So yeah,
which is me.
So guys, like jumping straight into this, like introduce yourself, what you do in the band, and just a Nameless Dread overall. It's like, yeah, introduce yourselves one by one, and then whoever is the designated bearer of the band's info can go ahead and give us a breakdown of A Nameless Dread and what it is you guys do.
The vocalist, you go first, and then I'll end off and give the rundown.
Yeah, you can do the thing. So I'm Red Freeman. I am vocals and entertainment. I'm the shouty one in the band.
I am Tim Burtis. I do the bass guitar, low end rumbles, and a lot of the marketing.
Yeah, I'm Damien Bass. But despite my surname, I don't play the bass. Well, I do play the bass, but not in this band. I am both guitarists, which is pretty cool. I'll use that as a nice segue. We started off the band. Me and Tim used to be in Sorted together. Rhett actually auditioned for Sorted. Unfortunately, Sorted ended, and we. Rhett and Tim started talking about being in a band, and Rhett said, "I know a guitar." Tim said, "I know a guitarist." They got me involved. It was all smiles from there. We suddenly discovered that we all love cosmic horror and Lovecraft, and the SCP wiki. If any of your listeners know that, like all this cosmic horror, this unknown, it's not jump scares and stuff like that, but it's like more, like existential. And we actually decided quite early on. We obviously need a drummer, who unfortunately is not present this evening, but. We needed a drummer, but we didn't want to dilute what we had too much, so we thought, okay, we're not going to get like keyboardists and second guitarists and stuff. And that was also a really nice challenge for me. I'd never been in a band as the only guitarist. So the live setup for the guitar side is a bit mental because, it's like crazy mothership stereo things and lots of harmonies and stuff, but that's cool. Keeps the band sounding big and lively. And it was a cool songwriting challenge as well. I'm the primary songwriter for the band. Rhett did the vocals, Tim added a little bit there as well. But as a songwriter, it was a great challenge for me to sort of, see how I can structure things. I still wanted leads. I didn't just want to, much like you guys, you're hardcore chugging away. I wanted my leads. I like my shred. But how can you do that without like the bottom falling out of the song while you're playing live? And since then, it picked up momentum quite quickly, actually. Luckily, also, I have a bit of a studio upstairs here. Everything was recorded and produced up here as well. And momentum kind of picked up really quickly. We got most of the songs down. Unfortunately, lockdown hit and just weird things happened. We had a bit of a slump there. But album came out, was really well received. We were really pleased with that. And that's where we are today.
No, that's dope. You mentioned Sorted. I'm pretty sure I know this band. Did you guys at one... You're a Joburg-based band, if I'm not mistaken. You guys played Rumors a couple of times, and you guys used to do these like really cool like comics every now and then, like these little.
Yeah, that was Tim's wife who did those.
And those were fucking cool. Like I really enjoyed those. I remember this. Like I'd actually seen that band live a couple of times.
No, that was my wife. She was doing those for us, the Sorted Tales. Because she does a lot of artwork, she on the side, and we figured, just to keep people engaged and entertained, pulled out like a once weekly kind of little 4-pane comic strip, It worked. People quite obviously it worked if you still remember them. So
it's cool to hear that, and that also highlights something about being in a band, right? I mean, cool vocalist, guitarist, etc. But a band is so much more than that. My previous boss, man, I greatly respect, Andrew Cook. He said to me, he was also kind of into rock and roll. He played in some AC/DC tribute acts, vocals and guitars and stuff. And he said, if he's had many businesses over there, so he said, if you want to learn business, be in a band. Like that'll fast track you, because you have to do marketing, you have to put yourself out there, you have to maintain like PR. You need to sort out internal squabbles, drama like that. Luckily, not much drama here, but
we haven't had any drama really. Now that I think about it,
we're quite lucky in that regard. And I just wanted to bring that up because, like, if you look at what Tim does, he does a lot about marketing and stuff like that, and it's really cool for someone like myself to say, guys, I am disappearing into my fortress of guitars for months. You shall not see me until autumn, and we will have a new album kind of ready for vocals and bass and stuff like that. So, it's cool to have a couple of people to lean on, that really makes a band work. And I don't think you realize that when you're young and it's like your first band.
Yeah.
I think you get dropped in the deep end, really. Like with your first band, you realize how much work is actually necessary to make it work. And it's interesting that you point that out, because a lot of guys kind of don't realize this going into it. The amount of it's not just about the music. Once you guys decide to do something, there's a whole bunch of like background behind the scenes work that is so much more than just making music. It can be quite exhausting. It's actually quite an ordeal, to be honest.
No, definitely.
And also you really don't know people until you either fight them or you're in a band with them. Then suddenly when you're in a band, you realize, oh, this oak smells like hell, and this oak is always late, and this oak has no money, and this oak has problems, drugs or whatever, like luckily we have none of that here, but it's, that's when you really get to know people. I was very lucky. My first band over a decade ago now was like a deathcore act, Under the Chernobyl Cloud. I was the bassist there, and the thing that buggered me for years was when I was in that band, we all just suddenly became best mates. And then when I started joining other bands, I realized, oh, it isn't always like that. Some bands don't like each other. I was spoiled. But we're very lucky here. Everyone gets on really nicely. We actually hang out because we like each other, which is cool.
Yeah. And I think we've all had it like in our previous bands where you're like, I mean, hang on, there's actually a lot more to it than just kind of hanging out in a garage and jamming and going to a show.
Yeah, we've seen our fair share of nonsense. And I mean, I think that's also something that happened when Dread started off. We kind of, like, I remember bringing it up. We were in the garden here by my place, and I said, guys, listen, lots of bands practice like twice a week, even if they have no albums coming up or no shows or anything like that. We have, obviously practice is very important, but I'm not going to practice if we've got nothing lined up. I'm going to take a 2-month break every now and then. I have a job. We all have jobs. This is, we're adults. We can't just, we can't throw all this time for no reason. And I think it's not that we're lazy. It's just that, let's be efficient with our time. And, we've all been there. We know that we don't have to do this. And it's really cool to be able to say, guys, can we do this next week? And it just happens. We actually had a practice a while ago, and it was so good the first time. We're like, let's cancel the other practices. It's fine, and that's also I like that. It seems a bit mature, Not that it's the hard work pays off, especially if you've never been in a band. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah.
If you've never been in a band, it's good. Sorry, we're talking over each other. Tim first.
What we tend to do as well is we actually, everyone practices, like, because Damien records the stuff, we have all of our album, all of our tracks and everything, we have access to them, individually. So we can all practice them, we run through it there, and then you just get together like, a week or 2 weeks before a show and just make sure everybody is syncing.
Yeah.
And that's it's a very efficient way to do it.
Yeah.
But I think it's also like, when you're when you're like first couple of bands, when you're just kind of starting out, you kind of think, oh, I'm going to go to practice and learn the song. It's like, no, practice is to tighten up, not to learn the song.
Practice is to learn your band members, not learn the song.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. It's practice is for rehearsal, not to learn. You are making sure you function as a unit, not to learn your part. I agree with that 100%. And it's great for like time management as well. Like I'm horrible with time management, but being in a band or being in multiple bands has taught me a lot about that. So I can relate to that. I can understand it completely.
Like I was saying to the guys the other day when we were at a gig, I said, like if someone said to you, Damon, I'm going to shoot you dead right now, or you can go on stage and die there. And I'd rather die in real life than die on stage. Like there's nothing more. Like I don't get nervous, like I just don't have that part of my brain really. But I don't like, like I'm sure you've had that experience when you just fuck up terribly on stage and there's nowhere to hide at that point, and everyone saw it happen. And that kind of lesson early on, you learn those lessons and you're like, okay, now, that's what we're trying to avoid here. We need to know our gear, know our bandmates, know all this kind of stuff. And I think when when you're a kid and you start and you're like just playing like power chords here and there, you can get away with learning it almost on the night. But, as a lot of music tends to do, is get a little bit more intricate and technical and more nuanced. You can't get away with that anymore. You really can't.
A lot of the time, your first audience is other musicians. It's other people in the crowd. Yeah. They are watching you. They know what you are doing. They can register when you fucked up, because that's like it's something that they look out for. It's something that they know. And
you can tell those oaks. The crowd's going mad, and then you see a few people standing still and nodding and frowning, and then you know that you're being watched by other musicians.
Yeah, you're cool because you're being appraised.
They make that grimace, right? They look at what you've just done, like a saucy riff or a lick or I don't know, a bass line or something, and you see them like grimace and nod, and you're like, yeah, that worked.
Points acquired. That's fantastic. Like you were saying, I'm pretty sure every musician's had a moment like that where they've cocked up royally on stage, and just it is, like you said, there's nowhere to hide. You just have to stand there like like an exposed nerve and just hope for the best.
That's also when you see a mature band. People who've been around the block, they start buggering up, but they recover. Not everyone just stops dead. I think you do that when you're new, and then suddenly, you just figure out how to fall back in line. I miss my drummer from my first band as well. We just had that bond, bassists and drummers, others. And if something happened, I would just look out the corner of my eye and I would see him just like hit the ride once, and then we just fell back in line. And the guitarists can, dance themselves broken, but we're back in line, and that's a lack of feeling that makes you feel like a good musician.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's stuff ups are inevitable as an artist. It's how you deal with them that shows your level as an artist, I guess. Now, how long has A Nameless Dread been going? You guys said that it's basically formed from after Sorted, and you guys came together. And how long have you guys been?
2019, guys. I can't remember.
Yeah, beginning of 2019, I think is when we first kind of started chatting.
Yeah, and it was quite cool. We started chatting. We got along. We didn't have a drummer at the time. I think I was just like, hey, we have an idea, cosmic horror. But I mean, what does that mean in music terms? Yeah. I don't know. And I'm not going to just go and write like the score to a horror movie or something like that. You want to make something that you're proud of. And so I went away and I recorded just just messed around for a day really, and came up with like 2 minutes of something, recorded a quick demo, And that's actually the opening track to our album, The Great Unclean. And it just really fell into place from there. It like that kind of formed the sound quite quickly, you know, where, because I was also trying to push myself a little bit and not just oh, chug, you know. Chugging is great though, I love it. But, you know, I was trying a few different things, some more haunting chords and some weird stuff. And that kind of, the sound kind of just ran away with us from there. And we got a lot of songs together really quickly. A lot happened very quickly, actually. And then, like I said, unfortunately, we had a bit of a lull where we had all the demos done. And most of it was done, actually, just had to get the drums down and the vocals, really. That took a little while, especially then lockdown hit and no one could come here to do it. So that took a little while, but yeah, so then beginning 2019, I'd say we got most of our stuff done during 2019. And then first half of 2020, blitzed like what was left of the album, really. And yeah, then October was the album launch.
No, that's incredible. It's like actually, in the grand scheme of things, is a very short space of time to have gotten so much done. Like, it's really impressive. But I do also think,
even myself, even though I do this, like, it's obviously not my job, but you know, I've gotten decent at it, I suppose. But even I've underestimated how much time it takes to get a song perfect is the wrong term, but ready. You know, you can get something 90% of the way. Then, like so many tasks, you know, all of our jobs, I think, will be like that. The last 10% takes 90% of the time when you're really nitpicking and you listen to these songs over and over. After the album went out, I didn't listen to it for like a month. I couldn't stand it. Even though I'm very proud of it, I listen to it from time to time now. You know, after hearing the songs 100 times each and deliberating over these things. I mean, for your listeners out there, you know, you think, cool, throw a demo together in 2 hours. That's possible if you know what if you know your riffs and stuff like that. But then that's a very rough take to get everything just so to make sure there's nothing that's going to embarrass you. Because once you release it, it's going to embarrass you for the rest of your life. So, you know, that's another 20 hours plus if you rush, or not rush, if you're smart with your time. It takes an incredible amount of time to get this done. And then there's marketing. Tim will know, you know, like getting everything ready. Then we had to find artwork. Luckily, our good friend Baron, the vocalist from Sorted, he's an amazing artist, our album cover and our logo. All these things take so much time.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I agree with the concept of once it's out there, it's out there. You know, if you'll something that will embarrass you, it's there for all time. It's once it's out in the public, it's the people's. It's not yours anymore. And you just got to.
Even if no one no one will notice, but I notice, and that'll kill me.
And you'll sit there and like shake at night.
I've
experienced it.
That op-ed, Joe.
We once released a recording. This was my first ever band, and I once, like a month later, this is one of the most embarrassing stories of my life, realized that I'd played the wrong bass line in a certain part of the song, the entirely wrong bass line. And obviously no one else knew the song, but I had to live with I still have to live with this. Like,
it must have been at least in key if no one noticed, but still, that you know.
I was like 17, 18 at the time, so it's still, it still bugs me to this day.
Oh, that's
you listen to it and you're like, what a boner.
Yeah, dude, no, so bad.
You know, you guys have obviously all been a part of the South African music scene for quite some time. You've been in various bands. What have been some of your favorite experiences in the local music community? Not necessarily just with A Nameless Dread, but just personal experiences within the community, within the scene.
Let's do the same order. Rhett, Tim, then me.
I think I suppose the proudest moment, and again, even though it's a Dread interview, it is still definitely a Dread moment, was our album launch. Yeah, that was just kind of like a crowning achievement for me. It was, you know, like I've been in bands where, like, you know, I've been a bass player, done a few bits and pieces here and there, but it's never really kind of been like my own thing, if that makes sense. Whereas Dread was something I was there from the beginning. It was like really just a supremely proud moment for me.
Like for myself as well, you know, I've had a lot of. I've been playing in the SA music scene since like I think 2005, when I started with Sorted. So, you know, something that really has hit me and that actually makes me quite proud to be an SA, you know, band, and is seeing now over the years how we struggled back in the day to actually try and get any sort of international recognition. And now, you know, especially thanks to guys like, you know, Diva Graphic PR, he's pushing our SA bands, into the international spaces, and getting us recognized there. And you're starting to get people from other countries off the continent, thousands of kilometers away, going, hey guys, they're reaching out and going, guys, we really love your stuff. Do you guys have merchandise? Do you have this? Can we get, and that's actually, I think it's something to be quite proud of, to be in our scene at the moment, because I think it's really starting to take off, for the international market.
There's a lot of coverage coming for South African bands lately.
Yeah,
it's good to see. For myself, I'll do two quick ones. The first one, I think, is my first band that kind of started performing live, Under the Chernobyl Cloud. I was the bassist there, and like when people started saying, wow, you're a fucking sick bass player, that was like a personal moment for myself. I was like, sweet, and I wrote those bass lines because our guitarist Pablo, he wrote the most incomprehensible, gibberish, sick guitar riffs, but unplayable by any human. So what did I do? I bought a 6-string bass guitar and shredded it, and I'm so proud of people would come up to me, and I felt like a charlatan. I was like, oh, I'm a guitarist, now I'm trying to play bass. But people came up to me and said, dude, that was sick. That was insane, So that's like kind of my personal moment. But then, coming to Dread now, again, I've been in many bands since like 2007 odd. And I think, Tim, you've known me for a long time now. I write a lot of stuff. I'm always making things, I think I have a good creative output, but for some reason, I just never put a lot of that into any bands. And now to have something that I can say, I wrote all the music. Obviously the guys helped massively, but I think really this is my baby. I put this together and kind of, saw it from end to end, wrote the riffs, played the leads, released it on Spotify after producing it myself, and that's really proud, that it's me, well, it's us, but really for me, that's hugely a very prideful moment.
Yeah, you can tell how proud you guys are of just how far this project has come and where you're going and all of these sort of things. And it's fantastic to see. It's really cool when bands are so proud of the work that they've put out and have every reason to do so.
With the SA scene as well, I think, there's a big slice of the pie has been death metal. And I mean, I've played with some amazing bands over the years, shared stages with them. But there was a period a while ago where it was very samey. You're like, cool, Cannibal Corpse did this in the early 90s. Let's do something else. And I'm not saying we're Dream Theater or we were, progging the scene up or anything like that. But I do take a bit of pride that it's not 100% cut and dry what we are. That we can't just say, oh, they're like Cannibal Corpse with this, or they're like Death without this. I think we have a bit of our own voice. I mean, we stand on the shoulders of giants. You talk about one guitar bands, Dimebag, we stand on his shoulders. Chuck Schuldinger, we stand on his shoulders. All these guys, we build on what came before us, but I think we've moved it a few inches further with this band. Not saying we're super influential or anything, but I really feel like this is something cool. And when we were asked what genre are you, I was like, oh geez, I don't know. And it took a while to see, we kind of fell mostly into the death metal camp, which makes sense. But again, we don't fall 100% in there because the blast beats and stuff are more sparing. It's not, and I love it, don't get me wrong, but it's not like the ingested sort of, just like gravity blasting for 40 minutes and then the drummer faints, which I love. But I think it isn't that cut and dry, and I really enjoy that. And I'm seeing a lot of that with the more, I wouldn't say progressive, but the more modern kind of death sort of direction, death thrash, a lot of the post thrash stuff that we're getting now, Vector and things like that. I don't know, the people are going in interesting directions and combining things in ways that work really well but aren't obvious. And I think we maybe have a little bit of that going on as well, which I like.
No, that's so dope to hear, man. You can hear a lot of your influences, as a musician. Tim, Rhett, what would you say are your inspirations as artists? Who do you guys look up to and say, this has had a definitive impact on myself as a musician?
I'll go first. Cool. The first guy that bassist that I actually thought to myself, hey, I would really like to play like that was Fieldley from Korn. You know, that's when I started playing, was when they started getting recognized. But, you know, guys like Ryan Martini, but then you start moving on and you go, you know, Steve DeGiorgio, Alex Webster, those kinds of guys, you know, those are the guys that I'm looking up to and trying to get, you know, do things a little bit more, you know, more technically than what I was doing before. You know, I was very, in my previous bands as well, it was very just follow guitar all the way through, you know, like an octave rhythm guitar. But yeah, you know, just trying to do things a little more technically, especially working with Damien. Damien's actually quite a big inspiration to me for writing my bass lines now, you know, because of the way that he writes. Yeah, love you. But yeah,
romance.
But yeah, you know, those are the guys that I kind of look up to. And guys, Geezer Butler, I mean, another fantastic, you know, bassist there, some huge lines. So those are kind of the guys that I look up to.
Rhett, I'm jumping in front of you very quickly. I just also wanted to say, the way that Tim has grown as a bassist is absolutely remarkable. I mean, sorted, he was fine, he was serviceable as a bassist, but Tim, you were root notes, cool, whatever.
I was okay.
Yeah, but now, dude, like, I mean, he played something the other day, and like one of our first practices, actually, you played that one bass line to Great Unclean. I was like, oh, you naughty sausage. That was like, you know, whether
immediate stank face, like,
yeah,
filthy.
Totally, dude. Like, really, honestly, just, you know, you want to see determination and dedication to his craft. It's to me right there.
No, thanks, dude.
Okay, so like, I think probably one of my biggest influences vocally is like Des from Devil Driver. Like, I mean, that's kind of like where I started practicing the first kind of like really guttural, screamy stuff when the first Cold Chamber record came out. Cool thing is, like, that actually came full circle a couple of years ago, where I actually got to cook for them when they came to South Africa on tour, which was amazing. Super, super nice guy. And then, yeah, like, as I kind of got older, started getting into like the much heavier stuff, like obviously Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse is amazing. I have Devin Townsend as well. Like, I cannot even come anywhere close to his clean singing, but you know, his guttural stuff in Strapping Young Lad is just amazing. And then like some of the more kind of goth stuff, like I am a bit of a goth kid as well, as Damien said earlier.
As we can see,
stuff like Cradle of Filth, a little bit of Wednesday 13 thrown in there. And lyrically, like inspirations, like I write what I know. Like a really, really good example is Rot With Me, the first single off the first Nothing. It's just like my zombie love song, basically. Like, I'm a huge horror movie fan, love zombie movies. So I thought, like, you know, let me write a song about zombies. Another cool thing was The Great Unclean and Into Chaos. You know, Damien and I are massive fans of Warhammer 40K, so I was like, let's write a song about that. And it also ties into the Lovecraftian thing as well. You know, sort of all these eldritch beings, you know, beyond the veil of human perception. So on and so forth, should I say? Sorry. But yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell, really.
That's cool. Like, based on like the explanations you guys are giving me, like A Nameless Dread is basically what happens is when a group of nerds and weebs get together and start a metal band.
Oh, totally, yeah. I mean, we are all massive nerds about something, like, you know, whether it's anime or Warhammer 40,000 or whatever the case is, and even, you know, to the musical side of things, I'd say my most listened genre is like technical death metal. I think, you know, obviously we're not a tech death band, but you know, that influences things. Tim had some like cool, like kind of more thrashy sensibilities, and then Rhett comes in with one thing that I don't know much about is, you know, writing lyrics and performing vocals. And Rhett comes in there with, you know, something left field I wouldn't know. Cool, it worked great. You know, that's really cool. And to blow smoke up Rhett's ass, also basically everything here on the album was the first take. It was just, he knocked it out. I'm like, cool, let's do like backing. Does that? I did some backing here and there, but nothing notable. And cool, you know, just knocked it out like that. Super duper.
Yeah, but like coming back to the recording thing, and like, you know, I haven't been in studio and having recorded before, of course. Recording with somebody who gets what you're trying to do and actively tries to make it better, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, like I've seen that even before the Dread thing, me and Barent, the vocalist from Sorted, we both dabble with, production at home. And when he comes to my studio and I'm playing guitar and he sits here and does the producer role, he's like, no, try this. No, I want that to be a bit more, like it doesn't matter if you've got it a bit sloppy there. That's the point of that part, and the producer's role isn't just to say yes and click record. I think what we hear on albums, on our favorite albums, I'd say 40% of that is producers. The producers do so much for the sound of a band and the direction of an album. It's insane. That I think people won't actually recognize with music, particularly metal, is writing a good chorus.
It is hard. It is difficult.
Because you can do the thing where you write War and Peace and carry on for months. But I think a chorus should have something that sticks in your head, not necessarily like a hook, but something that you can hear once or twice and know. And to get something that doesn't sound cheesy after hearing it too much, I think that's a massive challenge. Red's good at that. Red's really good at that.
Like as a guitarist in a metal band, I struggle to write choruses. Like that's generally the hardest part of a song for me, both musically and it's generally the biggest challenge. I'll always write a sick song and be like, cool. So what the fuck's the chorus for this now?
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to writing choruses with me, it's like I kind of default to starting with the chorus and having that being the central theme of the song, and then the verses and bridges and everything else will come from there.
That's interesting. Like from a songwriting perspective, I think maybe you start at the top of the mountain and trickle down the sides, and I start from the bottom and walk up because I need to make sure the crescendo works. And sometimes you do just come up with the dirtiest riff and go from there. But my songwriting style is mostly start from the beginning and work through to the end, and like step by step. I very much struggle to get a patchwork of things together. Like it
very
really
methodical.
Has to. Yeah, definitely. And the Grand and Clean was almost completely written on, like I said, before the band even was fully formed. That was written kind of just one of those songs that just flowed. It was really, really cool. And a cool thing, it's almost perfect timing for a waltz. So we really want to get to the audience to do a waltz sometime.
That would be very interesting.
It's the Plague Waltz.
Yeah, the Plague Waltz will be awesome.
That would be a very interesting concept for a music video. I'd love to see how you guys pull that off.
Totally,
especially with like the Lovecraftian themes and those sort of things. That would be cool. That would be very cool. There was something I wanted to touch on earlier that Tim was speaking about, where he was talking about getting the international exposure, having other people from other countries listening to the band and other countries approaching you. Now, I wanted to ask the question of, if you guys had the opportunity to play anywhere in the world at this point, where would be your go-to? What is the country that you guys believe would be the greatest vibe for you guys to play in?
In all honesty, I've been fortunate enough to go to Wacken twice. And I got to admit, the Germans and the Scandinavians love their death and extreme metals. I think that would be it. Although we've had a lot of, really positive feedback from the guys in Brazil, because those guys are just crazy in general. They
that's what I wanted to say. Sorry, Timmy. Like I was saying, the Wacken is the mecca for all metalheads, and obviously I'd love to go there, play anywhere within proximity of Wacken. And also, I watched Iron Maiden Rock in Rio this afternoon, and I'm just thinking the South Americans are crazy, and we've got a lot of support there for some reason, which is awesome. So I think it would probably have to be South America somewhere. Rio.
Although we wouldn't be going for the beaches, we'd all burn too much. We'd be like staying indoors, wait for it
really quickly too.
Dude, I'm bad like that. I go somewhere, I'm like, where are the guitar stores? I'm such a boring man.
He's not even
man
joking.
Of class, man of culture, actually.
Dude, I'm not joking. I went to the UK, and within 3 days I bought a guitar and an amp so I could play in the guitar in the hotel room.
I can understand that struggle. I really can. Did you end up bringing those home with you? Did you have to kind of leave them there?
Look, if I'm honest with myself, I knew I was going to come back with a guitar. but I was kind of, when you put off thinking about something so that you don't have to admit to yourself that it's a bad idea. That's what I was doing, right? I didn't think about how I'm going to get it home or how much it's going to cost. I was just like, I know I'm going to get a guitar, but I'm not going to think about it. And I went to, Denmark Street in London, and I went to Anderton's in Guildford and things like that. I was looking for a multi-scale. There's a snapped string at the moment. I was looking for a multi-scale, and a lot of the multi-scales I was like, cool, it fans from like 25 inches to 26. Don't bother at that point, really. And yeah, this one, it's like, cool, goes up to 27.5 inches. And yeah, like the other thing is purple's my favorite color, and this one's purple. There's a carbon fiber scratch plate, which is sweet. And this is like a Telecaster on tick. It's just like so weird. You're not going to see one of these. It's not like another Super Strat. I've got so many RGs. Ibanez RG I love. I'll play that till the day I die. But this is something different. So I thought, I have to come home with this thing. So yeah, I brought this home, and the amp was just like a little one of those Boss katanas that run off batteries. I just popped that in my luggage and came home with it.
That's fantastic. That is a true scholar of the arts right there. I'm curious to see what's going to change with the future of the SA music scene, with everything that's happened, with the lockdown, with the restrictions, with the limited amount of shows and the capacity limits and all these sort of things. What are your guys' thoughts on the future of the music scene? What are your hopes as well regarding it?
Well, I'm going to kind of touch on what Damien said there. I think with the sort of smaller, more concentrated quality over quantity shows, people are I'm hoping what will happen is people will be like, oh, wait, there's actually bands worth going out to see, worth hanging around for, and worth supporting. Not to say that they weren't doing it before. I think it's just because people are now sort of seeing that, one, it's not this oversaturation thing. And two, that, because we haven't had it in so long, it's actually worth supporting again.
And it's about saturation. If it's every weekend is 10 hours of bands, people have to pick their battles, and they'll probably say, cool, when do people go out? 7 or 8? And then at 1:00 they pass out in an Uber. That's how it works. And that means that there's going to be a closing band and a couple of opening bands that are playing to nobody. And I mean, we've all been there when you're the newcomers and whatnot. But if we can kind of start limiting a little bit, and also even the experienced bands, if you're playing every single weekend the same place, I love performing, but eventually people are like, same band. Even if you have a varied repertoire, people don't want to see you every single weekend. And we're already a very niche community in this country. And I love all the fans, but if we oversaturate it, I think quantity is not doing it. We have to do quality, and we have to, cater to that. We have to play to our strengths here. It's just the way it is.
Also, with that in mind, you're talking about quality over quantity. It's something that I noted from when Sorted was originally playing in the 2000, the mid 2000s. Where there were just, venues all over. That's awesome. All the venues are there, and it's great. But, at that point in time as well, just about everybody could get a show. You could get 3 guys or 4 guys together and have practiced maybe twice and do a cover band or a cover track as well. And then you're going out and you're actually playing. Playing shows. What I think this also ends up doing is it kind of forces bands to pick their game up, because there's, there are fewer shows, but better attended shows. It'll probably, force bands to actually pick their socks up and go, look, if you're going to be a mediocre band, you're probably not going to get booked at the bigger shows or the better shows and things like that. So you need to actually, kind of keep working at your craft and make it something good. So I think it would, in a somewhat harsh manner, it would also push the quantity of, or the quality of the musicianship that we already have in this country. It'll push it to a new place for bands who do want to go live.
100%. That's a very, very good standpoint on it.
And maybe from a more hopeful perspective, I hope that this is a reset for the scene. there's these slumps, places close every 2 minutes. With Deadline, we played at Sonage last weekend. What an amazing venue. And, it's really super tailored towards just having an amazing show. And that's something cool for the South African scene, look, I'll play a pub gig, that's cool. But it's cool to be like at a venue in a warehouse with a stage just for you with massive lights and sound. It feels like a big act. That's the fantasy that we're all teenagers wanting to be rock stars, really. And having these awesome venues. I want it to be a reset, and I want people to get hungry for this kind of stuff again. And not just, I hate it when people say, "Oh, support your bands." But this isn't a charity. If we're cuck, don't come listen to us. If you don't like our music, whatever. But just hope that the people who love it are just like, they have cool places to go, safe places to go. And another thing that I want to touch on, you're in a hardcore band, I know you're not. Like the more core kind of side of things, I love it. I played in a deathcore band for ages, and hardcore is some of the sauciest riffs out there, right? And then you get like kind of the more metal side. And we're all playing with distortion. We're all playing 5150s or whatever the case is. We're all cut from the same cloth. And then like I see it a lot of the time. These people act like two separate scenes. There's so few of us already. If I could have one wish for peace, it would be that let's just all act as fucking just people who like distortion and shouty vocalists. That'll be really cool, because it'll double the size. We enjoy each other's music already. We just there's a couple of people in the scene that like to be like,
it's too small of a scene to be divided. It's too niche to be divided that way.
You can't be picky about your genres. And I think when we were teenagers, you could be like, I only listen to Swedish death metal or whatever the case is. It's so much better when you broaden. Look, I'm very one-dimensional. I only listen to metal, and that's it. But all metal is great. There's so much to be enjoyed in the different genres and stuff. And if you don't like symphonic black metal, fair enough, that's cool. But let's just act like one scene. Let's not cut ourselves down the middle.
No, 100%, I agree with you. I do feel like if you are like, subgenres do count in this, but if you're only listening to one thing, you're not growing. You're limiting yourself in a sense, or you're doing yourself a disservice. You explore, listen to new things. You might just, if you have an open mind about it, you might find that you enjoy things more than you realized, instead of trying to take a hard standpoint on it just for the sake of an image. And
more focused gigs will help with that as well, because if you say to, I don't know, like a dude who's just like super into metalcore, and you say, cool, there's one metalcore band playing tonight, and there are 7 like thrash, death metal, black metal bands, who'll be like, oh, this is going to suck. Let me get blind drunk. But if you say, cool, there's one more core kind of act and one more, metal sort of act, then cool. Both sides can experience like a taster of the other side without fearing for their lives. Or, I feel like that's the way to bring people together and get people to be less choosy.
On that note, though, sad news is that we are running out of time again.
Look, no podcast can be this long.
So, I'm going to start leading us out into closing here, and I just want to find out, guys, any shout outs that you guys may have to potential fans who would be listening, as well as like people who have supported you and anything like that, as well as where can people find you guys on social media, both as a band and personally?
Am I starting?
Who wants to go first? Yeah.
Just like I said before, listen to music, and I can't express enough gratitude for the people. I mean, it's not like we're not Megadeth or something like that, but there are people listening to our music, and that still blows my mind. Thank you so much for just listening to it, for sharing it. Like, even if it wasn't your favorite, thanks so much for listening, guys. Everyone who's done anything for us, you have my eternal gratitude. You've risen my baby to new heights, and that's amazing. And thanks. I can just say thank you. What else can you say?
No, exactly. You know what? We are so grateful to all the people, who come out and watch us and support us, live, when, we are really seeing a good resurgence of in the live scene, but also, to all the guys who are listening to us, in Brazil, in Greece, in, wherever they're listening. We just really are thankful for everything, just giving us a chance to form your own opinion on us. And we are available. I mean, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram. We're on Bandcamp, iTunes, all the like media, the music media outlets we're on, like all of them. Haven't found one that we're not actually on at this point.
Yeah, usually under Nameless Dread Band or Nameless Dread.
Yeah.
You can find us. If not, get a hold of me. I'll find us for you.
Nothing I can really add on to what Tim and Damien have already said, but it's just amazing that people like what we do and come to the shows, and actually, it's humbling and awesome.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Like, I've enjoyed this chat so much. You guys I really enjoy your perspectives on music and just everything about the scene. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you guys for taking the time to actually have a chat with us.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
It's been a blast. Thank you for having us on. It's been really fun.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. Invite us back, even as individuals, if you need perspectives on bass or screaming or horror, or just invite us back. This was amazing.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute blast once again. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening, and I'm stoked to see what comes from you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
100%, dudes. Cheers.
Great.